built in 1912, in the middle of Swift Current's first building boom. One of several theaters at the time, the Lyric was the second largest, and it was constructed with apartments on the second floor, and a bowling alley and billiards hall in the basement. In the early years, when Swift Current had fewer public buildings, the Lyric Theater was used for a variety of different events, including meetings, church services, sporting events, and dances, in addition to concerts, vaudeville, and moving picture shows. Events in the Lyric frequently reflected those on the world stage. In World War I, the city used the Lyric Theater basement as a drill hall, and recruiting rallies were held in the auditorium. During the flu epidemic, 76 patients were treated at a temporary hospital in the upstairs apartments. Jack Lundholm, a man whose name would be synonymous with the Lyric Theater for decades, began working at the theater as a projectionist around this time. He took over management of the theater in 1923 and was the sole proprietor by 1925. He is fondly remembered by his friends and staff.
He was the nicest, kindest person I've ever met. He really was kind. I think if things bothered him, it really bothered him, like he saw somebody in dire need or something. That really bothered him.
Jack had a real reputation in the community for helping people out.
And I went to school at Central School, Saskatchewan, up in the hill. And in the winter, it was always had a lot of snow those years. So my mother made an arrangement with Jack Lundholm she would supply him with milk and eggs and cream, whatever. And we'd have a chance to stay here like over the weekend whenever we couldn't go home.
In 1927, Jack married Violet Cutting, who had played basketball in the gymnasium in the Lyric basement as a teenager. The basement of the Lyric Theater was a bowling alley, a dance hall, a gymnasium, a drill hall, an armory, and finally a theater lobby. Many other events took place in the basement over the years as well.
He had a small office down there, and he had a woodworking spot. And Mrs. Lundholm, the quilters, quilted with her once a week in the basement. The RAF from England were at the airport training. When they were presented with their wings, Mr. Lundholm let them get together in the basement. And the wing commander was in charge in the 50s and 60s. They finally had a small waiting room and washroom in the basement. The stairs were built in the north wall close to the exit doors.
The theater's upper floor was always used as apartments. Swift Current had a severe housing shortage when the theater was built, so the rooms were greatly needed. Until the building boom of the 1950s, living upstairs in a downtown building was common. By 1973, however, the number of vacancies in the Lyric apartment was growing. Regardless, many families made their homes in these apartments over the years.
When the plays were on and movies downstairs, we could always hear what they were saying, No problem. If we had a little trouble, we'd lay down on the floor and we could hear it quite easy. But if we really had trouble, then we'd go into the bathroom and listen on the pipe. And it would tell us word for word what they were saying. Yeah, it's a sneaky way to do it. One time Jack Lundholm, he says, "You want to see the movie? You might as well go down and see it on the seats." And he said, "I want to charge you half price." So it's 10 cents. So we said we could go down there and see it for 10 cents. That was pretty nice. He always treated us good.
More than anything, the Lyric is remembered as a movie theater. For decades, the Lyric and its partner theater, the Eagle, were Swift Current's only movie theaters. They brought Hollywood's golden age to Swift Current and gave teenagers a place to go on a Saturday night.
Since I was a little kid, I used to know Mr. Lundholm because we lived right across the street. And I used to always be after him, bugging him, "Can I usher in your theater?" So I've known him just about all my life. That was the big thing then. Then you could see all the movies for nothing.
One of the best remembered traditions of the Lyric Theatre was the Children's Christmas Matinee, which Jack Lundholm organized each year for the local children.
Anyway, they always put on a Christmas party, and we'd come in and we'd get a bag of peanuts or suckers or whatever, you know.
Christmas time, he put on a big Christmas Day. After you open your gifts and stuff, we all got dressed at home because we just lived across there and came over. You got a free show and a bag of stuff, and Mr. Lundholm put this all on for us.
The building has changed significantly over the past 100 years. The front, which originally had 2 doors flanking the ticket booth, was remodeled in 1953 to give the theater a modern, up-to-date look. The building was remodeled significantly again in 1985 when it became a nightclub, and again in 2005 when it received its most current renovation.
Well, the lobby wasn't like this.
It's really not like it used to be when it was a theater.
When you came in, Mr. Lundholm had a desk behind the cashier, and when the projectionists come in, he just went up the ladder, and then if people came and asked for somebody that was in the theater, we had to go up and give the projectionist the message, and he put the message on the screen. So-and-so, you were called to the front.
It was like a cross like this out here in the front, and the cashier was there, and then it came back, and it came up 2 bunches of steps on either side to go in the doors and out the door.
The Lyric Theatre was a popular movie house for years, but when Jack Lundholm died in 1969 and the theatre was bought by the company that owned the much newer Swift Current Cinema, the slow decline began. The old theatre could not compete with the more modern facility, and it did not receive as many upgrades. In 1981, the cinema was twinned, so 2 movies could be shown at the same time, and the Lyric was closed. After several years as a bar and a nightclub, the building is finally once again a theatre, and will become a part of the memories of a whole new generation.